بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Sharh al-Manzumah by Ayatummah Mutahhari rahmatullah alayhi. It's the brief commentary by Ayatummah Mutahhari on Manzumah of Hakim Sabzewari rahmatullah alayhi. As you remember, we said there are 17 issues that we need to discuss about existence. Number one, Bidahatul Wujud. Wujud is self-evident, which is about the concept of Wujud. We talked about it. Number two, Al-Ishtirakul Ma'nawi lil-Wujud. The concept of Wujud is a concept which has one general meaning. It can be applied to different types, different instances, but it's one. The third was Ziyadatul Wujud al-Mahiyya. Wujud is different from Mahiyya. These are two different things. Number four was Asalatul Wujud, primordiality of existence. We discussed it last week. Number five was about the fact that existence of Allah is His Mahiyya. Al-Haqqu Mahiyyatuhu an-Niyyatu. In what sense? In the sense of Ma bihi shay huwa huwa. What makes His identity, not Mahiyya in the sense that we use for mumkinat, which is their type of being, which is a sign of limits, kind of borders and limits of their reality. No, in that sense, Allah has no mahiyya. كل ممكن زوج تركيبي من وجود وماهية. كل ممكن. In Allah, we have only one thing, that's wujud. But if you want to use mahiyya in a broader sense, which can be used for wajibul wujud, we can say, okay, his mahiyya is the same as his wujud. Means what makes him God, what makes him wajibul wujud is his existence. Alhamdulillah, we have already talked about these five. So 12 more are remaining. Today we want to talk about two more. One is about al-Wahdat wal-Kathra fil wujud, which we will finish inshallah. The second is about al-Wujud al-Dhihni, or mental existence, which we introduce the idea, we bring some arguments, but then there are objections that we leave it inshallah for tomorrow, because tomorrow also we have class inshallah. So let's start with al-Wahdatu wal-Kathra, unity and multiplicity. Hakim Sabzewari rahmatullah alayhi says, al-Fahlawiyyun al-Wujudu indahum haqiqatun dhatu tashakkukin ta'um maratiban ghinan wa faqran takhtalif كالنور حيثما تقوى وضعف. Al-Fahlawiyyun, which is Pahlawiyyun, is a title used for ancient Persian or Iranian philosophers, those who existed before Islam. For them, existence was a single reality, but with grades. with degrees, with ranks. Single reality, which is graded. Like light. Light of sun and light of candle, they are both light. But their difference is also in being light, in the sense that they are sharing being light, and they are different again in light, but in this sense that they have light, but they have different degrees. So ما به الاشتراك is the same as ما به الاختلاف, but ما به الاشتراك is أصل النور, ما به الاختلاف is مراتب النور. It's not that light which is stronger has something other than light. It's light plus something else. No, it's not light plus something else. Or light which is weaker is light minus something. No, both are light, but weak light or stronger light. So this is the idea of ancient philosophers in Iran, Persian philosophers. And Sheikh Ishraq was, interested in this concept. On the other hand, we have Masha'un, peripatetic philosophers. Peripatetic philosophers like Ibn Sina, they have different understanding. They say that certainly there is kathra. Actually, the whole question starts when we are faced with multiplicity, with diversity. We have different things. We have human beings, we have animals, even different types of animals, different types of plants, non-living beings. So kathra is not something can deny. We have also wajibul wujud, we have mumkinul wujud, plenty of differences. Masha'un say they are completely different in reality. For ancient Iranian philosophers, as well as Sheikh Ishraq in the Illuminationist philosophy, حقيقة واحدة ذات مراتب, single reality with different degrees. For them, no single reality. There are different realities. حقائق متباين. Why متباين? Because when we have different realities, it can be sometimes they differ 100%, sometimes maybe they share and differ. Like for example, insan and faras, they share being animal, they are different in their differentia, in their fasl. But insan and kam or kayf, which is aras. Insan is jawhar, they are aras, it's different. Or kam and kayf are different, 100%. Because aras are 100%, the jinsul ajnas, like kam, kayf, mata, ain, vaz, jida, they are 100% different. And this is why they call them jinsul ajnas. Each of them becomes the common part of their mahiyya, plus they have other aspects. So why Masha'un didn't follow the same model that we have in mahiyat here when we are talking about haqa'iq? Why they don't say they are different but can be partly shared, partly specific? The answer is this. This discussion is after asalatul wujud. We already have established asalatul wujud, and we said that Masha'un also believe in asalatul wujud. Wujud is asil. On the other hand, we know that wujud is basit. Wujud is simple because we don't have anything other than wujud to mix with wujud. Al-wujud la ضد له ولا ثاني له. In Bidayat al-Hikam also, remember we had this discussion. So when wujud is the reality, haqiqah, and diversity has to be explained according to existence, and wujud has nothing else to be added to it, so you have simple reality of existence. Now when two simple things differ, can we say they differ in part of their essence, for example, and they are sharing the other part? No, because you say it's basit. It's not murakkab. It's not like insan, which is haywan natiq. Mahiyatul insan is murakkab. Haywan itself is also jismun nami hassas mutaharrik bil irada. It's not basit. But if something is basit and differs from another thing which is basit, two simple things, when they differ 100%. 100% they are different. So they are mutabayin bitamam al-dhat, not bijuz al-dhat or ba'd al-dhat. So Masha'un had no other choice than saying that this kathra, this multiplicity in the world, is because of having different realities among existing things which are 100% different. حقائق متباينة بتمام الذات. Ayatummah Mutahhari says there is another opinion which is not discussed here, which is the idea of urafa. Normally urafa, especially those who are dealing with irfan and nazari, theoretical irfan, they believe in wahdatul wujud. And this wahdatul wujud is different from our topic of wahda and kathra. When we say unity and multiplicity, that unity is general. Urafa, when they say wahdatul wujud, they have a special interpretation. They mean by wahdatul wujud that there is only one being, which is wajibul wujud, which is God. And anything else is just dependent on him and are like his manifestations. But we have only one being, one reality. That is what is a mystical approach, and normally philosophers don't accept that, and they say we have different beings. All these mumkinat are also mawjudat. It's not that only wajibul wujud exists. They all exist, but they are dependent on him. So there is a difference between saying they all depend on God and saying that they don't exist, only God exists. Anyway, we don't want to go into that discussion. It seems that Mulla Sadra, in some of his discussions, is in favor of wahdatul wujud, not all. And some people say that maybe Mulla Sadra, at the end, in his philosophical studies, is trying to bring this concept of irfan into philosophy, and is convinced with it through his philosophy as well as through his mystical experiences, etc. But for the time being, you have to know that the mainstream idea among philosophers is not wahdatul wujud, is multiplicity. We have different beings, one is wajib, the rest are mumkin, and all are dependent on him. So here Hakim Sabzewari rahmatullah alayhi doesn't discuss that idea of wahdatul wujud. He mentions the idea of Ishraqiyun, which is similar to what Iranian ancient philosophers had, and the idea of Masha'un, and promotes and prefers the idea of Ishraqiyun, following Mulla Sadra, because Mulla Sadra also believes that wujud is haqiqatun wahida dhatu maratib, doesn't agree with Masha'un. Okay, so if we go by the poems of Hakim Sabzewari, he first, as I said, referred to the idea of Sheikh Ishraq, which is similar to ancient Iranian philosophers. Al-Fahlaviyyun al-wujudu indahum haqiqatun dhatu tashakkukin ta'um. For them, existence is a reality which has tashakkuk, which has degrees and is general. Everything is wujud. But what degree of wujud? You have to explain the degree to understand what it becomes. Maratiban ghinan wa faqran takhtalif means these beings, they differ in maratib of richness and poverty. Like nur, which can be qawi or dha'if, strong or weak. So wujud can be very strong, wajib al-wujud, this is the strongest, and can be very weak, the lowest of beings, and in between. Of course, Ayatummah Mutahhari in the footnote doubts that this idea was the idea of Iranian ancient philosophers, and he says historically this can be different, and in Usul al-Falsafa wa Rawash al-Alis, in his footnotes, he has tried to bring what he thinks is better by historical account. وَعِنْدَ مَشَّائِيَّةٍ حَقَائِقٌ تَبَايَنَتْ وَهُوَ لَدَيَّ زَاهِقٌ. Hakim tries to make very deep philosophical points into the form of poem. It's not easy, but he's trying, and it helps. And it helps also with memorization, because it's difficult to understand. So when you understand, then it can remain in you. When we learn something easily, we may forget it also sometimes easily. وَعِنْدَ مَشَّائِيَّةٍ means according to the Masha'in, to prophetic philosophers, حَقَائِقُ تَبَايَنَتْ, the realities which are mutabayan, distinct, different, completely different. As we say, mutabayinatun b'tamam al-dhat. Hakim says, Hakim Sabzewari, وَهُوَ لَدَيَّ الزَّاهِقُ, but this opinion, in my view, is false. Zahiq. Why? The main argument that they bring, we had it in Bidayah also, is this. They say, from all these different things, you say, they are different realities, different, haqa'iq. We can have one common concept. We say, al-insan mawjudun, al-faras mawjudun, al-fil mawjudun, al-shajar mawjudun, al-hajar mawjudun, al-madar mawjudun, الماء موجود, الملائكة موجودة, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala موجود. Okay, so we have the concept of wujud which is applicable to all of these realities that you say they are mutabayina bitamam al-dhat. Having a general concept means there must be something common between them. You cannot have a general concept without there being something common between those subjects. On the other hand, when you say mutabayyin bitamam al-dhat, means there is nothing common. This is a problem. How can we abstract a single concept which later we apply to all of them when they have nothing in common? So Hakim says, وَعِنْدَ مَشَّائِيَّةٍ حَقَائِقُ تَبَايَنَتْ وَهُوَ لَدَيَّ الزَّاهِقُ. But this idea is zahir, is batil in my view. Why? لأن معنى واحدا لا ينتزع أما له توحد ما لم يقع. Because one single meaning concept cannot be abstracted from something in which there is no unity, there is no commonality, there is no ishtirak. From kathir bima huwa kathir, we cannot abstract mafhum wahid, a single concept. So in the first poem he explains the idea and says that it is false, and then in the second one he mentions his argument. So if you believe in ishtirak ma'nawi wujud, if you believe that mawjud can be used as predicate for different mahiyat and even wajib al-wujud, Allah mawjud, al-insan mawjud, al-faras mawjud, this needs some wahda. From kathir bima huwa kathir, we cannot abstract a common concept. So we need to go back then to the idea of Sheikh Ishraq, and Mulla Sadra accepts this idea of tashkik. So based on what we have established, ishtirak ma'nawi wujud and asalatul wujud, then now when we want to justify and explain how we have multiplicity, the only way that remains for us is to say that there is one haqiqah, not haqa'iq mutabayina. If it is one haqiqah, then because of that one haqiqah we can say to all of them light, wujud, but different degrees. With different degrees we have something different to explain diversity. With being haqiqatun wahida, we have something common to explain how we can use wujud for all of them. So this is this much that Ayatummah Mutahhari discusses about the issue of wahda and kathra here. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.